So hey everybody, welcome back to Bow and Arrow Garage. So today I'm going to kind of work on the C6 Corvette a little bit. First I want to give you an update on the C3. So basically at the end of the day what I'm waiting on is I'm to the point of tuning the engine, but I need to get my exhaust system together, and I'm just kind of waiting for finances to come through to get that done. I've started doing some of the body work, and I was going to try to do some paint work this weekend, or on this video actually. But the last 2 weekends, every Saturday, it has been raining on me. The humidity's been really high, so I didn't want to do the paint work while the humidity was so high. And then I ran into some issues with my C6 Corvette. I took it for a drive, and my son drives the car now, and I ride with him every now and then, but I hadn't driven in a while, and I took it for a drive. It had to be maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was just shocked at how bad the shocks were on the car. They had gotten really bad. You know, the car's got about 110,000 miles on it, and it still had the original OEM shocks. And this one did have the mag ride capability on it. And so those shocks, they estimate that they'll last. Some people say they're a lifetime shock, which is absurd. But a lot of people say they'll last up to 100,000 miles. Well, when they hit 110, they were completely gone. And so last weekend I set out to make a video on changing the shocks, and I had all kinds of issues with my camera. The battery kept dying. It won't retain the charge, and so I got little snippets of the video here and there, but every time I turned around the camera was dead, and it had shut off on me. So anyways, I'm going to try to make a video today on the car, because what I found is that the radiator actually has a small crack in it, and I had been monitoring it, and I had noticed a little fluid loss here and there, and I couldn't figure out where it was. I had looked at the radiator, I had looked all around the car, and about a couple of weeks ago when I was looking at doing the shocks, I had noticed that the coolant was a little bit low again, so I filled it up. And then last weekend when I went to do the shocks, which it had been a week after I had filled it up, it was low again, and I was like, oh, we have a problem here. So I looked over the system really good. I couldn't find anything. I ran the car for about 30 minutes, no leaks anywhere. I was sure I didn't have a blown head gasket. I was just like, what in the world's going on? So then I shut the car off, and after I shut it off, all of a sudden I saw a little trickle of coolant coming from the top of the radiator on the driver's side. And so as I started looking, apparently the radiator, the plastic has a little crack in it. It's not at the seam or anything, it's just kind of out there. I don't know, maybe a rock hit it or something. Maybe it's just old, you know, from being old and fatigued. But whatever the case may be, the radiator needs to be replaced. So I ordered a new radiator, I ordered radiator hoses, and a couple of other miscellaneous things for the car. And I was actually filming this intro a few minutes ago, and the post office lady showed up with my parts, except for my radiator. So she said that's something they normally wouldn't deliver. I'm going to check here in a few minutes. Hopefully it's either at the post office, or she said a lot of times they farm these things out to either like FedEx or UPS. So I'm hoping that radiator comes in today, because I really need to get this car going. Right now my son's driving the Tahoe, and I'm driving my C10 truck. And as I showed in a few videos back, the C10 had a bent wheel on it, and I kind of straightened the wheel, but it's still really bad. So I mean, at certain speeds it's just horrible, and I can't really take the car in and get the tires balanced, because I need new tires for it. But I think I'm going to go ahead, and I'm kind of debating whether just to replace that one wheel or go ahead and replace all the wheels, which is what I think I'm going to do. So anyways, I really need to get this car going. I hope that radiator comes in today. But with that being said, the other big issue I had is on the shocks when I did it. The rear shocks, the lower bolts, I went with the Bilstein B6 shocks on the car, and the Bilstein flanges are a lot thicker than the OEM shocks, and so the lower bolt is too short. So I'm going to go try to find a bolt for it. The stock bolts are an M16. I think pretty much the SAE equivalent of that is about a 5/8. A 5/8 is just a few thousandths smaller, but I don't think it'll be an issue. So if I can't find a longer M16 bolt, which I don't really put a lot of faith in, I'm going to see if I can find an SAE bolt that's a little bit longer. So anyways, I'm going to get around, I'm going to pull the rear wheel off, I'm going to pull one of those bolts out, and I'm going to take it over and see if I can match it up and find a longer bolt. But with that being said, I'm going to jump into it and get this video going. Well, guys, it turns out I am not going to get my radiator today. And as a matter of fact, I'm not going to get my radiator any day. At least not the radiator that I ordered from the company that I ordered it from. It seemed very odd to me when the mail lady showed up this morning and she had all of my parts except the radiator. And so I kind of started questioning, and she was like, I don't know anything. She says, it's not at the post office. She said, I just came from there. And so she kind of suggested that maybe they had farmed out the delivery to FedEx or to UPS. But it just didn't really seem right to me. And I had ordered the radiator this past Monday. And when I ordered it, I called the company. I asked them to verify that they had all the parts in stock. And they told me absolutely all the parts are here. They're ready to be shipped. We can have them shipped out the first thing tomorrow morning. And so that would have been, I was talking to them Monday, so that would have been on Tuesday when they shipped out. And so I never really gave it any other thought. I checked tracking and it showed that my order had been shipped and thought everything was good. Unfortunately, now going back and looking, for whatever reason, they separated my order into two orders, one for the radiator and the other for all the miscellaneous parts, and they canceled the order for the radiator. And so no explanation, no correspondence. It's just here I sit without a radiator. So there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. I did go online. It's crazy because I reached out to my dealership, and I had already talked to them last week, and they said they couldn't get it. So I reached out to them and asked them if I could get a verification of the part number, because I didn't know if maybe there was an alternate part number or something. They didn't really want to give it to me, but they finally did. I reached out to my local big box auto parts stores in my area, and none of them were able to get it except for one. They showed to have one in stock. It was kind of an off-brand. It was just as much as the OEM part, but when I called them, they just gave me the runaround. I called the first time, somebody answered the phone, but when I began to talk to them, it was just silence. So I hung up, thought maybe we had a bad connection, called back again, the same scenario. Hung up again, so it's kind of like, man, what's going on here? So I finally waited a few minutes, I called a third time, and finally a young lady answered. She was very soft-spoken, and she did verify that they had the radiator in stock. And so I asked her if she could go back and lay hands on it to make sure that they did physically have it in the store. She said she would, but she asked if she could call me back, and I never got an answer back. Never got a phone call. So I just kind of gave up on that. I wasn't going to drive an hour just to find out that they didn't have it in stock after all. So I ended up finding one online on eBay. Unfortunately, it's going to be about a week and a half before it gets here. So what I'm going to do today, as far as this video, like I mentioned earlier, I had tried to make a video of me doing the shocks last week. The camera kept dying on me, but I actually did get some footage. I went back and looked at it. So I'm going to go ahead and make a short video of that, and then just kind of wrap this whole thing up for the week. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into the video, and hopefully you'll stick around, and then hopefully we'll see you again in 2 weeks. going on with my camera. Every time I turn around, it's cut off. It doesn't seem like the battery charge is lasting very long at all. I just changed the battery out and it's already almost dead, so get this thing as quickly as possible. Okay, so I'm just bringing the shock down through there and sliding it down and out. And that's all she wrote. So pretty simple to get out. So I need this bracket off the shock, so I've got to take this nut off. There is a 7mm flat up here. You can try to hold it, but it doesn't work. I've ended up having to use vice grips every time. So that's the easiest I've had one come off. None of them have come off anywhere close to being that easy. Alright, this is the hardware kit that comes with the shock. You get 2 of these bushings, you get 2 of these retaining washers, and you get a lock nut. And the plate just kind of centers around the bushing. And basically they say to tighten this down until these squeeze out the same size as the retaining washer, so sounds good to me. There is actually a torque spec called out for it, but I don't necessarily think you need to do that. I think it's 19 foot-pounds if I remember correctly. I like this setup much better than, it's got a set screw. I'm not usually a big fan of set screws, but compared to what the OEM shock had, this is a wonderful thing. Go just a little bit more on it. All right, So that's about what she's got there. So I'm going to go ahead and go do a little bit of cleaning on the car real quick, and then I'll get this thing reinstalled. So there is one difference in here. This is much thicker than this one, and so it renders the bolt too short. So I'm going to have to order a longer bolt. I'm going to go ahead and put it together with this bolt right now. Basically what it is just the this is a lock bolt at the end, and the threads don't protrude through the nut because the nut is so wide. I may just get a narrower nut. This is a 9.8 bolt, so it's not a tension bolt. It's like a grade 5 in SAE, and so I don't think it's a big deal if I go with the smaller nut. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and just put it together like this. Okay guys, I got everything together on this left rear shock. So these are the simulators. This is the one that hooks into your vehicle level sensor, and if you can see, I've removed the level sensor and I used the bolt that mounted the bracket for the level sensor to mount a clamp that holds this simulator in place. And then the one for the cannon plug that goes to the shock is right there. I just wrapped a little tape around it, hopefully to keep it a little more moisture proof. And I ended up replacing that lower bolt on the shock with a longer bolt. The flanges I showed earlier, that the flanges on these shocks are quite a bit thicker than the OEM, and so the bolt was not protruding through the nut, and so I didn't feel like it was comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like it was safe. So anyways, got that replaced. I've got to go over and do the same thing on the passenger side, and then I'll move to the front. On the front, all I've got to do is I'm just going to mount the simulators a little better, and that'll be it. Oh yeah, this thing is 100 times better. It really is. The difference is just astronomical. So I know that those shocks, the mag rod shocks, when they're new, when they're working right, they are pretty awesome. But man, just the difference is night and day. So yeah, so it's actually fun to drive again. You're not like, you're not gritting your teeth every time you see a bump in the road, because you know what's about to happen. So yeah, it's a huge difference. So I'm just gonna finish my little jaunt around the corner here, and then we'll get back home, and we'll like I said, I've got a lot to do today, so try to get this thing together and get a video edited tonight. That being said, I'll catch you later. Okay guys, so I'm glad to say that the shocks are done. The car, from that aspect, is running great. As a matter of fact, you saw me take the little drive, and I was doing a little spirited driving. I mean, it was fun, like I said, to drive the car again without having to worry about every little bump you're going to hit in the road. I kind of overdid it a little bit as far as the radiator is concerned, because I had never seen any evidence of water leak. When I got home, yeah, it was very evident. The radiator is done. So like I said, it's going to be, I think it's due to be delivered on the 29th of this month. So we got another week and a half or so before we get that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and shut down the video from here. I want to say thanks for joining in. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please consider subscribing to the channel, and make sure to share with your friends. Having said that, have a great night, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks.